He's our fortress and our strength. He's our protector. But it doesn't mean that we have to come to him like, I don't, from that weak stance, he's looking for a strong person.
So why does vulnerability have to be a sign of you being weak? It's just showing your weakness. It doesn't mean you are weak.
I may not wake up feeling flawless, and my emotions can be reckless. Yeah, and I know, I ain't perfect, but I glow when you say that I'm worth it. You're the only one who saw beyond my skin deep and into my heart completely. You got me cut like a diamond.
Welcome back to LifeAzLee. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to be having a chit chat, and I have my friend Brittneys here with me. We're going to be talking about transparency versus vulnerability. Now, a couple of days ago, I posted a status on Facebook and Instagram asking you guys, what is your thoughts? What do you think about this? Is one negative? Is one positive? Do you think they're the same? Do you think there's levels to this? So we're going to kind of explore this. This came because a couple of weeks ago, the girls' class here, the young girls, is a mentoring class during Wednesday night Bible study. The lesson was talking about, why don't you talk about it a little bit?
We wanted to give the girls a comfort zone where they have a sensitivity when they speak with God and they allow God into their situation wholly. And when you allow God into your situation completely, then you are allowing hope into your situation. So the topic came up, I am afraid to be transparent with God. And also it was like, okay, I want to be vulnerable with God. I feel that there's a difference between vulnerability. So I brought up the difference that there's a difference between vulnerability and transparency. I believe that God is designed for us to be transparent with him.
Okay, so before we go into like different sides, let's go ahead and read the definition of each word. Transparency means free from pretense or deceit, frank, easily detected or seen through, obvious, readily understood, characterized by visibility or accessibility of information. Okay, yeah, that's good. Mm-hmm. And then vulnerability, capable of being physically or emotionally wounded, open to attack or damage, accessible, vulnerable to criticism, liable to increase penalty. Oh, that's the business side again. So tell me what you think about, so like the question was, what do you think about vulnerability and transparency in context of relationships and when it comes to our relationship with God? So go ahead and let me know what you think.
I believe that God has called for us to be transparent, open with him. He wants us to allow him into every area of our life. And when we allow God into our life, we know that he can transform every area of our life. I believe just being sensitive to God. And that's pretty much it, just having an openness with God.
Good. So the way I see it, I totally agree. I believe transparency is that honesty of here is everything. This is everything. There's nothing else. But I also believe vulnerability is like a deeper, it's like beyond that transparency. The way I see it is like transparency is what I see, but vulnerability is what I feel. It's like it's like behind what you see. It's like almost, to me, it's a deeper level of intimacy. Not that it has to be a negative thing, even though there is a negative connotation to vulnerability, and there is in the definition, able to be hurt. I feel like the difference is that it's the capability. It doesn't necessarily mean you will be hurt. And I think when it comes to God, and no, you should not be vulnerable with every person because, sometimes I do think there's a difference between intentional vulnerability and unintentional vulnerability. So you shouldn't be vulnerable with every person. Sometimes people can make you feel vulnerable, and that's not what you want. But when it comes to God, when you intentionally let your guard down and you're not protecting yourself, so if you're not protecting yourself, you're able to be hurt. But if you're in God's hand, there's a trust there. So you're okay.
That makes perfect sense. And I hear what you're saying. And I agree that I just don't feel that vulnerability is the word that really defines, like, you can't put God in a box, know. And even too, when we think of the extent of love, I think that vulnerability is kind of putting a cap on that love or that extremity of our relationship with God. Transparency, I like that word because it doesn't limit it. Like my willingness to be open with God is not limited to like you said, the emotions of God, or me being willing to allow this situation to hurt me or to break me, because we know that we're supposed to not worship God or have that sensitivity to God based off our emotions, but really just out of obedience with God.
Okay.
And so that transparency is, okay, God, this is my shortcoming. God, this is where it is hurting me. But our relationship with God is not limited, to us how hard or how deep we hurt. Is why can't it be how much we love or how much we give or how much it's I think it's circumstantial, and I think vulnerability is too limited.
Okay,
because God is too vast. God is too vast.
Okay, so let's see what you guys said. I have some of the screenshots of the things that you guys answered. So from Instagram, one user said, transparency is honesty, but you can be honest or transparent about things that don't make you feel vulnerable. Or vulnerable about things you lie about. I think vulnerability and the desire to keep from being vulnerable is oftentimes the reason why we lie to others and hide things. I understand not being transparent with God because He knows our very deepest, darkest thought and all the moves we make and are gonna make. How you hide things from an all-seeing being. How you do that? I think being vulnerable with God is a question of trust. Do you trust God to heal you? Do you trust God for peace? Because if you're not, you'll pray these very small talks like prayers and try to fix the rest on your own, or look for things in the world to heal you. I actually can really agree with this. I think this is kind of where I was getting at, where it's like with vulnerability, you're no longer protecting yourself.
Right.
So in this instance, it's like you may be transparent and say, this is what's going on, but I'm okay. I can fix it. I'm good.
Yeah.
But she's saying in those moments you have to be vulnerable, or else you can give the little prayer and then you can go try to fix it yourself.
Okay.
What do you think?
I still don't think that vulnerability is the word that defines it. I get what people are saying about it being that trust level, about allowing God to see the hurt or the deep, the deep things. But I think you can do that with transparency. But even so, we're looking for strength when we go to God. He's not looking for a weak person. He's like, come before Him boldly. He's, and He's our fortress and our strength. He's our protector. But it doesn't mean that we have to come to Him like, I don't, from that weak stance, He's looking for a strong person.
So why does vulnerability have to be a sign of you being weak? It's just showing your weakness. It doesn't mean you are weak.
No, it doesn't mean, I get what you're saying. It doesn't mean that you're weak because you're vulnerable. But the word itself, it says that it is capable. And I don't think that is...
Now it's visible. Now that weakness is able, it's seen, it's accessible. But that doesn't mean that it's triggered. That doesn't mean you are weak.
If a person plays in traffic, there's a strong chance that they are going to get hit by a car. It doesn't mean that they will get hit by a car. It just means that there's a strong chance. And I think that is the word, that's what vulnerability means.
So that's the way you see it. I think you're more on the cautious side of like, why would you even do that in the first place? If that is a possibility. Yeah. Okay, so that's a view. All right, so this point of view, I think, kind of goes with what you were saying. Another user said, I think transparency is deeper. Transparency is more active, eternal, and intentional, while vulnerability is more passive and external. A person who is transparent more so chooses to be open, which also makes them vulnerable. Vulnerability is just a product of a feeling of open or exposed. Someone or something can happen to you to make you feel vulnerable. You hear people say, I am being transparent, opposed to saying, I feel vulnerable. Transparency would be the square, while vulnerability is the rectangle.
That's good stuff. We've both been in these studies where we taught two types of prayers. One, Moses talking to God about going to Pharaoh, even though he had some inadequacies. He took those things to God, and God could have used those things that we thought was a weakness. He could have used Moses. He knows him, he could have just been transparent with God, but he asked, can he send Aaron? Absolutely. And God honored that. But at the same time, we see the prayers of Solomon. Solomon said, okay, God, these are your people. He was just transparent, and he allowed God's will to be done. I think that's the difference between being transparent and being, like you said, being vulnerable. God, he'll love on you. He's not going to dismiss that.
Right.
If you coming from that place of God, this is where I fall weak. But he's looking for us to come from. I know that I can't do it, but I'm giving this situation to you. I'm looking for you for that strength. But I don't think he's looking at us like he doesn't see it that way. We see it that way. We take on that mindset.
Right.
He just wants us to be transparent with him and give him the situation. But it's
not
not
necessarily
a weak
feel
place.
like you're below, not necessarily feel like you're that.
No,
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. That makes sense. That really does. That does. So one more user post. This one I actually really did like. A vulnerable person gives others the opportunity to hurt or disappoint them. They show weakness, allowing others to choose what to do with the knowledge of the weakness. Transparent people are clear, straightforward. Depending on the extent of your transparency, the two words could be synonymous, okay? With God, you should know that both of these actions, while possibly temporarily uncomfortable, will only turn out for your good.
Right.
You can trust God, but at times maybe we think of him as a man or fear what he requires of us. Humans are unpredictable. Results may vary in relationships based on where both people are at in maturity. I really like this one because it kind of takes the standpoint of neither one has to be negative, but that doesn't mean it's always going to be feel good.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's always going to feel good. It's like almost like she took the middle ground where she like evened the playing field a little bit, and I really appreciated that one because it's like, sometimes your mindset, just like you said, your mindset will make you feel that way. But even though it's something real, that doesn't mean that, you're lower. It's just sometimes the way you see it.
Absolutely. And like I said, I get what people are saying about vulnerability. I just feel like it's so limiting to such a vast God. And when we say we're coming on from we're allowing God to be, to allow people to hurt us or allowing God to break us, that's not his intentions. Those are our thoughts about the situation. God wants to strengthen us. He said, no good thing would you withhold from us. Like all these things. And even to the extent of God's love, there's no bounds. There's no end to it. So who's to say that extreme is if it hurt or if it's love or is it grace? Like we know that his grace is sufficient and that he's trying to strengthen us and bring us into our expected end. We just got to take on that mindset of coming to God boldly and believing that he's going to perform his word.
So I think the way each person will view these two words is also your experience and how your specific relationship with God. Like for me, I really take that spirit where it says to come before him with a contrite spirit, a contrite heart and a broken spirit. To me, that's just like letting it like all out. Vulnerability to me is a strength rather than a weakness. And to you may think that that's just transparency. I don't see why you even have to use that word. But I think the way your experience with God and your experience with people, that is what's going to shape your perspective on how you see these different words. I don't know if it's safe to say either one is bad. We all know that transparency is bad. You should be wise, obviously, with transparency because, we overcome by the word of our testimony. Sometimes people need to know what's going on. People need to know what it is. But I think vulnerability, with my personal relationship with God, I feel like that word was the word. Like I was able to be like this is everything, and feel and see and trust you with it all. But that's also my experience, and I think your experience with Christ is a lot different. Not that it's not any better or worse.
Regardless, you want to be open.
Exactly. You want to be open.
You want it to be real. Whatever your experience is, whatever takes you to the cross.
Whatever leads you to your knees.
Go there.
Whatever.
You want to be broken, transparent, translucent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. The point is, be as open with God. He knows your heart. He knows everything. He's a good father. So at the end of the day, he's waiting for you to confess so he can fix it. What isn't revealed will not be restored. What isn't confessed cannot be fixed. Absolutely. So you have to do that, okay? So I really enjoy this talk. And with people, just be wise. If you want to make real connections and have real intimate relationships, you can't be guarded all the time. You have to take a risk and know that God is your Lord. So he's going to protect you. All things work together for the good. So just trust people sometimes. Trust God to trust people. Absolutely. Let them know what's going on. Give your heart sometimes. Sometimes people need that to move on, to go forward. So, yeah.
Do you feel that there's a correlation between the way that we esteem others as like the way that we trust others and the way that we have
absolutely. Because if you truly believe that God is looking out for your best interests, you are not going to be trying to guard your own self. If God really is the Lord of your life, and he's the one that you entrust with everything, are you going to be trying to be your own king too? Oh, I want to because I don't know people. You can't do that. You cannot be like that. If you truly trust God, you are not going to be having your guards up, because who's your guard? He's the Lord of Lords and the King of Kings, and he's the Lord of your life. I think the correlation will show people who have a hard time trusting other people have a hard time trusting God. Period.
That is awesome.
Awesome. Yes. So we're going to take the last couple of minutes to kind of talk about some fun things that are happening in Atlanta. I'm going to let Brittney take it later.
Absolutely. We hope that you enjoyed this. I'm so proud of Sister Weedle when she started this blog, and it is awesome. She's an awesome young lady, and I pray that you're blessed by her ministry. Starting this Sunday on May the 28th, we're going to be having a special service for young adults, and the theme for the service is actually transparency. So if you're blessed by this, you're really going to be blessed on Sunday. It's going to be an awesome time of worship, fellowship, and a dynamic word. So come out. Worship starts at 11. Christian apps or life group classes starts at 10 a.m. So come out and be blessed by that. Additionally, on September 13th through the 15th, we're going to be having Oasis Women's Conference here at our church, Solid Rock Pentecostal Church here in Atlanta, Georgia. And the registration is actually up right now. It's available on Eventbrite.
And there is a discount for college students. If you're like me and you ain't really got all that ching-ching, there is a discount for you, okay?
It's only $25, and you can register there as well on Eventbrite today. Also, if you have a young child, you're pursuing the will of God, and they're pursuing the will of God, and you want them to have a transparent or vulnerable relationship with the Lord, and they're seeking out one true God, you want them to be a part of the summer camp.
Summer camp! We are having a summer camp, and it's going to start on June 4th. Here at Solid Rock Pentecostal Church, it's going to be for 2 weeks, only $50 per student. It's going to be awesome, fun-filled, a lot of Bible, a lot of drama, a lot of music, a lot of dancing for ages 5 to 12, and we're super excited about this. So if you are in this area, bring your kids so they can have a good time and learn more about God.
And all of this information is available on our church website, www.solidrockupc.com.
And one more, guys, did you didn't know that Sister Brittney is an author, and she just released the book, so I'm going to let her talk about her book really quick.
Yes, the name of the book is I Am, and I was really excited to have this opportunity to talk to you about transparency and vulnerability, because it actually refers back to my book. It's called I Am, basically finding your identity in Jesus Christ. We talked about how your relationship with others, it really reflects your relationship of your relationship with God. So if you want to overcome obstacles to pursue your purpose, you want to read this book. I Am is available on audiobook, Kindle, and in paperback, all available on Amazon.
And I'll put the links in the bio and the links in the About Me section so you can get all of that good stuff. We're super excited. She's an anointed writer, and God is going to be using her. It is using her to reach many, so don't miss out on this, okay?
Awesome. Thanks. You can also visit my website at ladybtwriter.life.
Yay! Thank you, guys. See you next week. Bye.